Hi, my name is Mashanta and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a space where I love talking about self-love, skincare and makeup. So if that's the sort of thing that you enjoy, then please keep on watching. Today is a very different video, but it's stemming from personal experience, so I hope this is a useful video. I recently purchased the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. This one looks stunning, but this is the palette. Now, while I was considering buying this palette, one obvious question that I had was, it reminds me a lot of the Mercury Retrograde palette, maybe a palette which has a lot of repeat colors from previous collections. From that need, I decided to film a video comparing the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette to two other bigger palettes in her collection. One is the Mercury Retrograde and the second is the Naughty Nude palette. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. I would have loved to be able to compare it to that as well. Is the Mercury Retrograde, while this is the Rose Quartz. Can you see? This is how it looks. This is the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude palette. And this is the Rose Quartz. So on the left, you have the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. This is the Mercury Retrograde palette, and this is the Naughty Nude palette. Now, a lot of apparent similarities, but let's literally look at swatches to see if they're anything similar. Is I literally want to go row by row in the Rose Quartz palette, and I'll just compare it to what I think may be similar in other palettes. So the first row that you see is this one. It has nudes and berries. Reminds me of Please Me, so I'm going to try that. This is how Please Me looks. Okay, but you can see very different, more coppery. This is Quartz from the Rose Quartz palette, and this is Please Me from the Naughty Nude palette. Aura. Now with swatches, this is Aura. And there is a shade which says Naughty. Naughty looks very similar to Aura, it just looks more chocolatey. Yeah. Aura versus Naughty. And then there is the shade Gratitude. This is how Gratitude looks. How Gratitude swatches. There is the shade Karma, which seems very similar. So this is Karma. So while Gratitude is a bit more pinky, I think Karma is a bit more peachy. Yeah. Yeah. The shade Cosmic Love. And this is like a chunky glitter shade. Shade Ultraviolet. And this is how Ultraviolet swatches. Yeah. So this is the one from Rose Quartz, Cosmic Love. This is more a duochrome, whereas Ultraviolet is more a single color. And there is a shade Passion from the Naughty Nude palette, like this shade, which might be more similar. Yeah, like this shade. Yeah, can you see this shade on top? It's sort of the same color family, but it's not the same. Yeah, interesting. The shade Empowered, which is like a deep smoky purple. And this is how Empowered looks. Wow. And the good part is I can't see any shade which is similar to Empowered, so that is good. Then we have the shade Joy, this pink shimmer. Joy looks, it's like a pearly pink. Can you see? Yeah. Can you see? There is this shade Shameless, which may be similar to that. It's different from a tone standpoint. This is more pink, this is more coppery. There is this shade Supernova in the Mercury Retrograde that could be similar. No, but Supernova is more coppery as well. So I'm just comparing it to Shameless for now. It's very, very different. So no repeat there. Then it's time for the second row. I'm going in with this shade, which is Precious, which is like a taupey brown. It's hard to kind of compare. So this is how Precious is. Now, there is this shade called Crash in the Mercury Retrograde, which I'm very interested in. Yeah, but Precious is a lot more cool toned. Crash is a lot more pink, if you see. Got it. You have the shade Energized, just like, and that's how Energized swatches. I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job explaining how Energized swatch. Okay, let me show it this way. This is how Energized swatches. There is this shade called Galaxy, which I think might be a close. Yeah, if you see Energized versus Galaxy, they look very, very similar. But Galaxy pulls a bit more pink. Right? You can see this is Energized, which is more pewter. Galaxy is a bit more pink. There is this other shade called Irresistible. There is this shade called Irresistible versus Energized. Yeah, no, Irresistible is a bit more pink as well. Yeah, I think Energized is a new shade. Hi, so I decided to go with my phone. Maybe this will be easier. So the one on the left, like this row, this column rather, is the one from the Rose Quartz. And the one on the side are the shades that I'm trying to match. So in order of the first row, you basically have Quartz, then ignore the purpley shade. So you've got Quartz, Aura, Gratitude, Cosmic Love, this light purple. Then you have Empowered, which is the smoky purple. Then you have Joy, which is this pink shimmer. Then you have Precious, and then you have Energized. Now in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shades, we were able to find decent dupes for the second one, which is Aura, and the third one, which is Gratitude. The others we really haven't found dupes for. So 2 out of 8 we've kind of found dupes for, and time for the remaining 10 shades. I'm back. I've cleaned up my hand, and time for the next set of shades. Shade, which is Love Stone. This is like, I don't know what this formula is supposed to be. I think those are like encapsulated shimmer pearls. This is how Love Stone swatches with like a hint of pink. Noticeable. Yeah. And then the other similar shade, Mercury Retrograde doesn't have this formula, but Naughty Nude does. And it's the shade Slippery. So I'm going to try going in with Slippery. Yeah, Slippery has red pearls, but it's honestly barely noticeable. This is one of those shades that I think we should just junk. This texture is it's just not working. You have the shade called Cherished, which is like it pulls a bit white, but it's actually a very light pink. This is how Cherished looks. Like, it really looks white pink. And Naughty Nude has this sort of similar shade, which is Filthy, which looks white on the finger, but it's actually peachish pink. But you can see Filthy is more pink, whereas Cherished is like more lavender almost. Then you have the shade Blissful, like this sort of a shimmer. This is how Blissful looks. We have the shade Irresistible, which I keep going to. So I think this is very similar to Irresistible. Irresistible is a bit more pewter. Yeah, not a match at all. How does this compare to Cosmic? Let's see how it compares to Cosmic. This is how Cosmic looks. I think it's very similar to Cosmic. Oh no, Cosmic is very, very pink. So wow, Blissful is like a very, very different shade, like a wet formula. It's really nice. So next we have the shade called Happiness, which is like this pop of pink again. It's a really bright pink. This shade called Libra here, maybe it's similar to that. But no, this looks more lavender, to be honest. Yeah, it's not. It's very different. Yeah, it's very different. But you know, these look like shades in the Amethyst Obsessions collection. So I think next time I should just try duping it with any Huda palette in my collection. So we are done. By the way, a quick recap. We are done with the first two rows. Now it's time for the last row. So last you have the shade called Mantra, which is like this sooty brown shade. Let's see how this compares to the shade called Vortex. Very similar, but Vortex is more like an eggplant color. But swatched, it's very hard to tell a difference, can you? Like one is more brown, one is more purple. This is like sort of a repeat. Then you have this one called Serenity. Sorry, this is the one. Serenity. Serenity, if you actually look at it, is very close to Libra from, you know, the Mercury Retrograde collection. And you have the shade Abundance, this one. This is how Abundance looks. Abundance kind of looks similar to Empowered. I think it's just a lighter version of Empowered. Then you have Moon Magic. This is how Moon Magic looks. Magic and Cosmic Love from the same palette looks so similar. Moon Magic and Cosmic Love, when you swatch, they look so similar. I mean, yeah, there are differences, but on the eye, it look very similar. Then we're down to our last two shades. Now I'm trying Radiate. So let's try this with Crash. What? These look like the same shade. Down to the last palette, which is Self-Love. So let's try Self-Love. So Self-Love swatches. And let's try Self-Love with this shade Cosmic Love from Mercury Retrograde. And I'm looking at this row. Please look at this row. So the first one you have is Love Stone, then you have Cherished, then you have Blissful, this crazy sparkly shade, which is I think my favorite. Then you have this pinky shade, which is Happiness. Then you have Mantra, which is this black sooty color. Then you have Serenity, which is again a lovely lavendery shade. Then you have Abundance, which is this you know, pewtery shimmer. Then you have Moon Magic. Last row is Self-Love on the left from Rose Quartz, and on the right is Cosmic Love from Mercury Retrograde. Yes, there are differences in undertone, but realistically, do you think these differences will pull up on the eye? I'm not really sure. So quite a few similarities in the second and third row. I didn't expect that. Great. Now let me collect my thoughts, and I want to share some final reflections with you all. Number one, I was surprised to see the shade similarities within the Rose Quartz palette itself. When you compare shades like Precious and Radiate, yes, there are tonal differences, but are they relevant enough to come up on the eye? Not really sure. And again, when you look at Blissful, Moon Magic and Cosmic Love, yes, on the pan they look very, very different, but when swatched they don't really look very different. Number two, I think some of the shades are not really great quality. Like, I really don't like the way Joy swatched. It seemed too powdery to kind of hold its own, and I think it was quite patchy in application. So that was a bit of a disappointment. Number three, I was super surprised with how similar Rose Quartz and Naughty Nude are when you really compare them side by side. You know, the nudie shades, the peachy shades, some of the pink shimmers. I thought this had more similarities with Mercury Retrograde, but I think if you actually compare, there are a lot more. There are quite a few similarities with the Naughty Nude palette as well, which I definitely did not expect. The fourth takeaway is, you know, I would have bet money that this was going to be very similar to each other, but when you actually swatch side by side, there are significant differences. Yes, there were a couple of similar shades, but majority of the shades were quite different. Now, finally, do I regret buying the Rose Quartz palette? Not at all, because I think on its own there were some seriously stunning shades that I did not expect. Like, I loved Empowered, really loved Moon Magic Blissful, even though they were very, very similar. I really like Quartz. I think on its own, it's a very, very lovely palette. What I also really enjoy is the fact that because it has more cool tone neutrals, I think it's a lot more wearable. Mercury Retrograde is quite out there, for lack of better word. It's like a lot more attention seeking. I think Rose Quartz is the more everyday, quiet version of Mercury Retrograde. And it's like Naughty Nude and Mercury Retrograde had a baby, and that baby is the Rose Quartz. I think that's the best way I can describe this palette. In terms of quality, which one still has my heart? I don't know, but maybe it's because of my skin tone, but I still tend to gravitate towards Naughty Nude palette. But that's also being a little unfair because I haven't given Rose Quartz enough of a chance. It's just come into my collection. Those are my thoughts on the Rose Quartz palette. You've seen the swatches. I think depending on the kind of person you are and how much eyeshadow you wear and how much use you will get out of it, you are best positioned to figure out whether or not you should buy the Rose Quartz palette. If you already have the Mercury Retrograde and Naughty Nude, I don't think you really need this palette, unless you are like me, a lover of eyeshadows, a lover of Huda Beauty, and you just want to add to your collection. Then of course, by all means, go right ahead, but please keep an eye out for a really good discount on these palettes, because I'm sure that should happen sometime or the other in one of the sales. That's all from my end. I hope you found this video helpful, and please let me know what you think about this format. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below and any feedback, as long as it's constructive and as long as it's polite, in the comments below. And if you like me, if you like my channel, if you like the kind of topics I discuss, I would love it if you would consider liking and sharing this video or any other video on my channel, and of course consider subscribing to my channel as well. Thank you so much for taking your time out to be with me and watch this video till the very end, and I will see you again the next time. Bye.